Welcome back to Single Women Retiring Abroad. All right, sis, let's have a conversation. Are you considering relocating abroad to Panama, but you just can't see how you can make it happen? With the current situation that we're all aware of, some of us feel a sense of panic. We have to get out. But you've looked high and low and you're like, I don't know how I can make it happen. I was thinking about that earlier and I said, well, you know what? Let's have a conversation about some things you might not have considered that might make it possible for you to leave. So, sis, is it time to go? Are you convinced it's time to go, but you feel trapped because you don't think you can make it happen? Let's have a chat. When you're reading articles, you read that an increasing number of not just Americans are moving abroad or retiring abroad. Because remember, you, my audience, are the single older women who want to retire abroad, like I did. I'm here in Panama, but we're not just talking about Panama. The news media, is telling us that yes, there is an increasing number of us retirees moving abroad. And if you recall, we have in my videos always tell you that there are several reasons why someone who's retired consider moving abroad, retiring abroad. Three main reasons, and we have others. Number one is the cost of living. Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And the second one is cost of healthcare. As you get older, you use a lot more healthcare services. Can you afford it, or are you in danger of filing for bankruptcy after one event? And the third point we always refer to is the presence of an expat community. There are other reasons that we have addressed in other videos. Okay? So we're going to unpack that a little bit and understand the reason and discuss some of the reasons that you may feel impede your capability, your ability to physically retire abroad. All right, you ready? If you don't know who I am Maggie. I am a nurse, retired nurse practitioner, and I have been here in Panama in this thing. I have been retired in Panama for almost 3 years now. January 25th, it's going to be my third anniversary. I am so grateful that I am here, but I wasn't in a position where I felt I had to. Because I wanted to and I made it happen. There's a difference. I'm also the creator of an organization here underground in Panama that we call SWRA, Single Women Retiring Abroad. And there's a whole story as to how SWRA became an organization. And, you can watch some of the videos and maybe I'll do another video just explaining what SWRA is all about. But what we do in that group and what we are about is that, like I did, because as the founder, that was my main reason for retiring, moving abroad. I wanted to have a higher quality of life, a better quality of life that was going to cost me less. And of course, we looked at healthcare. I looked at healthcare, and there was already an established expat community. So my goal really is to create, envision a different model of aging that is affordable and sustainable. All right, now that you know who I am, let's get into it. When I walk around in Panama City, which is where I live, I definitely see an increase in the number of our people in the streets. Now, they could be visiting, I don't know. But I know from the relocation tours and the chatter in the Facebook groups that a lot more people are coming here. And every day you see them holding their little card. Yeah, we got our temporary, where we got our pensionado visa. And it's like, wow, that's great. But what are the factors that are feeding this increased need to move abroad? Because the people moving abroad, I can tell you, are not all retirees. We have families coming here with children. I see a lot more children at the mall and other places. So when you poll people who are moving abroad, retirees or not, some of the reasons they give, the cost of living, definitely. We all know how expensive it is to live in, I'm from the US, so I cannot speak about the cost in Canada or the UK or other places, but we know it's becoming more expensive to live on whatever people were making. The other thing is the cost of healthcare. As a healthcare professional, I can tell you that every single one of us, we were one step away from bankruptcy. Going in the hospital for one event could cause you to lose your house and your savings because the insurances did not cover 100%. You don't have access to universal health care, and every doctor is specialist sending you a different bill. And gone are the days when the hospitals were very understanding to say, oh, well, you can establish a payment plan. I remember when I had one of my babies, I had like a $400, balance. And of course, I was really poor at that time and I couldn't just write a check. In the hospital, I had the baby in my arm. It was like, you're going to have to sign an IOU so we can get our money. And they were okay with me saying, okay, I'll pay you $50 a month. I don't think that's the case now. They are quick to send you to a collection agency. Next thing you know, you are forced to file for bankruptcy. Okay? The cost of living, cost of rent, even if you own your home, cost of repairs, property insurance. Let's not go into that. I'm from the state of Florida. I know all about it. So cost is prohibitive. The other thing that when I was there last time in February, the cost of food, OMG, it was super expensive. And I'm a single person. And I was telling my cousin, and I'm like, well, I don't even know how people who are making minimum wage and have 3 or 4 kids at home to feed, how they do it. So all this comes into play to tell people, well, maybe we need to consider another option. But one of the major causes of people wanting to leave and get out is the political uncertainty. Every time there's a new election, we always have, they'll tell you, you can read about it. There's always an uptick in the number of people saying, I'm leaving, I'm leaving. One party wins, the other party, they want to leave, they want to leave. Well, this is different this time. There is a general sense of uncertainty. The country is changing, whether you agree or not. That can cause you to feel unsettled, worry about the future of your children, your stability as a citizen, about your property, general sense of malaise, and just we don't know what's going on. And I remember, though, in another video, I was talking about the global happiness scale. And we mentioned that Finland had been on the top of the list for many years. And when they interviewed the Finns, the people who live there, and one of the things that they referred to as being a major factor in their sense of happiness was their trust in their government. Need I say more? There is no, we so divided, nobody trusts anybody. So that can't make you feel happy and settled and that you belong. Mm. So that is a major reason for saying, you know what, I'm just not feeling it here. It's time to make a move, right? People are feeling not safe. Mass shootings, people just not liking the way you look, not agreeing with your politics. Oh, and I don't know if that's going to be resolved anytime soon. There's a sense of disillusion about the idea, the ideals that you hold dear as a citizen, as a human being. Not everybody is on the same page, we know that. But those who were like, this is not how I expected. This is not the place that I grew up with. We hear that a lot. There's a lot of chatter about that feeding that sense of uncertainty and being disillusioned and the fear of the future. Of course, there's a lot that can be said about how you can manage that because a lot of it is out of your hands, sis. All right. So now we know some of the reasons why generally people want to leave. What about you, sis, as a single older female? You know, you're my buddy, you're my friend. I worry about you the most because you are my audience. Single, older, you're older, you worry about being old and in a strange environment that you don't know. SWRA is here, and a lot of people see us as you know, a group or a person they can reach out. And I want you to do that because I'm here to answer questions. And when you come, you have questions, I am here to answer them. And we're working on creating a sisterhood. We're still in the process of clarifying exactly what that means, but that's the goal. You worry about getting sick abroad. What happens if I end up in the hospital? That's a big worry. But I think the biggest worry is the money. Do I have enough money as a retiree? Can I make it work? Can it stretch enough so I can live comfortably wherever I'm supposed to be going? What other things do you worry about? What happens to my family? If you have grandkids, will I ever see them again? Politics. Is there going to be a change? We don't know. Nobody knows the future. What's going to happen? Uncertainty. You worry about the different culture, acclimating to a different place than what you used to in your older years. You know, you might say, you know what, I am just way too old for this. Another reason you might be feeling tied to the place where you're at, you may have other responsibilities. When I talk about financials, how about if you have debt? You might think, oh, that's a no-brainer. And I have been telling you to clear that debt before you make the move. But today, I'm going to give you a little exit. I also did a video about, I think my cough is, my throat. It's a good thing I'm close to the refrigerator. You may have aging parents that you're concerned about, that you are responsible for. I did a video about that. Hopefully, I'll put a picture here so you can go watch it. Because ideally, you want to have prepared your parents for this moment, whether you becoming an expat or not, cutting the cord, moving away from being under that dark cloud and umbrella of like, we got you right here. So those are all things that you worry about. Aging parents, financials, debt, health, a new culture, language. Is language a deterrent for you to consider moving abroad? So sis, having said those things, do you feel a sense that I know I'm worried about all these things, but I still have to get out for my mental health. I need to save myself. Do you know the analogy that I use is like when you're on the plane and they're doing the safety presentation, and they always say, if we hit turbulence, blah, 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 cabin pressure, your mask is gonna come down, put it on you first, then put it on your child. I think it makes sense. It's a good analogy to say, save thyself. I went to the Peace Corps in 2023, and I was determined that I was going to be serving for 3 years. But things happened that I felt were threatening my health. My blood pressure wouldn't go down. I was like this. And I said, you know what? That's not good. Because eventually I'm going to pay the price of this constant cortisol, epinephrine spewing in my body and my blood pressure, I could have a stroke. Is it worth it? Same thing, staying in a marriage that is really not for you and you're stressed out all the time, you're being abused or whatever, save thyself. So I'm just using kind of a weird analogy, but I want you to understand that what I'm trying to say right now is that it behooves you to save yourself so you can be of assistance to your family going forward. The fear of growing old, yes, we all have that, but should that be a paralyzing factor in you considering a better way of life, a better way of living? All right. So now we're going to address those factors that I mentioned that you feel are holding you hostage. Is it time to leave yet, sis? Can you answer that question? Because going forward, as we go to explore each point, you have to have that mindset. Yes, it is time. I know I have these concerns, but let's see what Maggie has to offer. All right. We're going to keep going, but until then, I want you to give the video a thumbs up, please. Share the video after you watch it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna wait while you do that. We are slated to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of November. So I have 2 months to do that. And I am at 18.2, almost 3. So that means I need 1,700 subscribers. You know, you can have one video that goes viral and you can get that. This gentleman talked about retirement as an old man, and he said he got like, did he get like 5,000 subscribers? It's insane. When you have a video go viral, yes, if you're speaking a language, something that speaks to a larger group of people. And the new thing on YouTube now, it's not to crack the algorithm code. They talk about passion. I think I have passion. I have found my tribe. I have found my audience early on, early last year, like in March, April. So I have not deviated from my single older ladies. You are my audience, wherever you might be in the world. I have people watching me from Canada and the UK and Kenya the other day and sometime Australia. Listen, the world is a big place and it's a world without borders with technology and the internet. So you can subscribe to the channel. If I say anything that makes sense to you, please subscribe and I thank you. And I thank you and I thank my members, my channel members. I had to do a shout out to them. Oh, tomorrow is Friday. I have to think about what we're going to do after our exercise class. I'm still doing my exercise class. You see, 67, we're looking good. You know, I mean, we have to work on it because, oh, I had to slow down the last couple of days because it was like, oh, Maggie, watch it. Sorry, I digress. So how we're going to make it work, sis, so that you don't feel trapped, that it becomes a possibility for you to move abroad if that's what you want. If you feel so weighted down and so stressed out. You know, I cry these days for no reason. When I watch the news and I see the psyche of my people, the whole tenor of the temperature, it grieves your heart. It does. You're not a tree. You're concerned. And I know only God knows the future. We know that intellectually. But in your heart as a human, you worry, especially when you feel helpless, that you don't have any power. And the people who have the power are making decisions that really don't benefit you or your people. So let's talk about the money, which could be the number one concern that you have. I did a consultation with a lady today and talking about what the requirement of a country may have in terms of your income, you know, 1,000, 1,500. That does not equate to what it's going to take you for you to live in that country comfortably from a month to month. Two different numbers. So do not equate the requirement for the visa to what you need to live on a monthly basis. No. Okay, so the average Social Security check these days in this 2025 is about $1,900. And you might think it's, oh, that's a nice chunk of money. Yeah, depends. Depends. Okay. I have a copy, a sample of a budget in my some of my videos that I posted some forms for you to kind of give you an idea. I'm in Panama, okay? Not every country has the same cost of living. So that's why I always encourage you, if you're considering moving abroad, look at 2 or 3 countries and do a spreadsheet and compare and contrast. I'm not going to ask the question as to where are you a good candidate for moving abroad. I'm making assumptions that you've done all that prep work and that yes, you are. All right. If not, you need to go back to that before you watch this video, before you continue. Okay. So with $1,900, that means it's an average. It's not even a median. That means you have some people who have more, make more. I make a little bit more because, I was a nurse. Maybe somebody who worked at a factory, probably going to have less, right? And some people have less. And I think I hear some of the sisters who are considering Panama could say, well, I'm going to come at $1,500 a month. Can I make it work? Well, what we would say as consultant is it depends. It depends. So you have to do the work to say, okay, what is the cost of living like where I'm going? Maybe I'm not going to be able to stay in Panama City. Maybe I can go to David, where the cost of living, the rent. I saw a beautiful house that was listed for rent somewhere, I don't remember exactly, 500 a month. In the interior, you may find a house for that. Sometimes they include your electric and your cable. When you meet with a realtor, just tell them what your budget is. And you have to be flexible that no, you're not going to be able to stay in Panama City, that you're going to be somewhere else. Manage your food budget. Put some money on the side for your healthcare. And I'm not going to be spending time talking about healthcare because I've talked about it for a long time. But again, another gentleman around here is saying the same thing because he was in the hospital and he's got insurance, but he said he had a surprising $850 bill. So if you don't have that in your budget, that you put it on the side every single month, what are you going to do? And here, there's no credit. There's no indigent care, sis. You got to pay before you discharge. So you might have to call sister to come bail you out. The budget. And then it's not just what you need to live here, your telephone, your cable, your food, your transportation costs, your what is it, entertainment budget, I mean, if you can afford that. And also, the money that you put on the side every month for your health care to go to the doctor if you're sick, unless you sign up for Minimed at $20 a month. The other thing that you need to consider also is any debt that you're responsible for. This is what I was going to tell you, a caveat. I said, if you have debt, get rid of it before you consider moving abroad. But sis, if you feel it's time to go and you are so stressed out that you're concerned about your mental health, your health, physical health, consider making minimum payment for the debt. Because, if you croak and you die, you're not responsible for the debt. But if you have an estate, maybe they'll go after your estate. So do a good faith effort. You cannot worry about things when you're not here. Worry about what's happening now while you're breathing. So look at the debt. I don't know, in the state, they used to have those companies that kind of help you you know, retrofit the debt so you can pay it small amount at a time. You might need to consider that, sis. Don't let the debt be the thing that holds you back. Just make sure it's included in your budget as a line item and that you have a way to do it every month electronically so that you remain in good standing. Protect your credit score. All right. So if you're making $1,000, for example, let's say that's what your Social Security is. You don't have any other income coming in. Well, Panama may not be the place you want to come to. You got to be flexible, sis. And this is the other thing. Some people make up their mind and they beeline and they don't want to hear anything else. Those are the people that I was like, okay, and I just kind of hands off. Because if you're not open-minded enough to realize that this number is not going to work for you in the place that you want, I can't help you. And then find other ways of making money. Start teaching online. Start over there, finding out ways you can do something remotely. Because here in Panama, you can't work if you're retired, but you can do stuff online. Don't be, oh, I don't know how to do it. Just find out, sis. Ask the question. Do the research. Multiple streams of income is the way to go. And this is another caveat. Retirement is no longer the time when you just sit and sip margaritas every day. Most of us now would have to consider, how do we supplement this Social Security? Because it's not safe. It's not promised that it's going to be the same. Ooh, I'm feeling warm. Right? So find out how to supplement that income using the skills that you have. Okay? If you have a home, if you can sell it and then invest that money so you can get a few hundreds every single month from your investment, talk to a financial planner. Take the classes from the ladies who are teaching people how to trade and do other things, if you have the mind to it. And if you can sell it like I can't sell mine, rent it. Although the rental income may not be totally yours because, every month something's going to break and they're going to call you and say that this and this, oh, sorry. Ooh, I'm feeling warm. Um, I was talking about that to a lady. She said, what did she say? She said, it's a hormone. Well, I know that, sis. I was talking to another sister. She's like, why am I having hot flashes? I'm like, they never go away. Surprise. So make sure you look at all possibilities to increase your income, sis. You no longer can afford to sit on your Social Security and say, well, there's nothing else I can do. Yes, there is. Every one of my sisters over here, we're all trying to do a little side hustles. Listen, there is no shame in the game. It's about survival. But if it's only $1,000 that you have, you may want to consider other places. And I know people talk about Africa. This girl says she's paying $250 a month for her rent. Listen, sis, you may want to consider that. Don't close your mind to the possibilities if you feel it's time to go. So we talked about the debt, the finances, cost of living. Make sure you ask people who are living in the area in the country that you're considering about what their true cost of living is. Some people will not tell you the truth. I see videos, over and over saying, oh, I can go to that place and I bought a whole fish with rice and stuff for $5. And I'm like, where is that? Be careful. And then if you are by yourself, cook your own food. You save money that way. Sorry, sorry, sorry. But listen, if you assist, you understand my situation right now. And I don't want to stop you to go turn the AC on. So gotta go with it. Cost of healthcare. You know what your situation is over there. Some of you are like, oh no, I do not want to change my Medicare to a Medicare Advantage. Oh, I heard that the Medicare Advantage is going away in 2026. Would you quit listening to rumors and go to the source? You should have an insurance broker that you are talking to. They get the information and they'll give you the correct information. Stop reading all the hoopla and the sensationalism that is on YouTube and TikTok and all of those. Go to the source. Some plans may go away, but they're not going to get rid of the whole thing. Stop it. But if you say you don't want to change your Medicare, then how are you going to cover yourself over here? Because there are things we call emergencies unplanned. And Panama does not have indigent care services. If you go in the hospital, you're going to have to pay some way, somehow. So decide in your head how you're going to pay for your health care, where you're going. Panama does not have a national healthcare system where you could say, you go to the doctor for free, you're in the hospital, you don't pay. We don't have that here. And I've done videos about that, so please go watch those. But you may want to consider places like Colombia has a plan. I understand. I may be wrong. Nana, you can correct me. If you become a resident, then you are eligible to enroll in that program. Then you have access. And I think Portugal, you can buy your insurance. You can even get your residency without showing proof that you covered. We're lucky we don't have that here, but they know if you go in the hospital, you're going to have to pay. So they don't have to police you. They don't have to police you, sis. No. So if that's the reason why you want to move abroad, you got to be flexible. Switch to a Medicare Advantage. Enroll in Mini-Med over here for $20 a day, I mean a month, for your emergencies. Go to Hospital Santa Fe. But there are all kinds of caveats and things that happen. So speak to people who know what they're talking about. And don't listen to the rumors, okay? And put some money on the side in your budget. So if it's $1,000, I don't know how you're going to do it, okay? You may want to consider to go to Tanzania, somewhere in Africa. You may want to consider going somewhere in Asia. Oh, it's too far. I know. But is it time to leave? Only you can answer that, sis. And if you say it is, then you're going to be more flexible. You're going to open your mind to other possibilities. Don't get hung up on one country. Aging parents. I did another video. I'm going to put it up here so you can read it. This is one of those situations that really can dampen your spirit and break your heart and stress you out. Yes, we are to take care of our parents, but no one said you had to be the one to do all the work. And as a healthcare professional, I can tell you there are occasions where the patient croaks the caregiver croaks before the patient because it is very stressful. And I also in the video talk about how you should have prepared the way, paved the way years in advance as to how it was going to go down. But I also understand sometimes the interpersonal relationships between family members can be such that these parents got you on their thumb. Well, I brought you into this life, therefore you're responsible for me. You have to find a way to get yourself from under that thumb, sis. To get them to understand you're not the only one who can take care of them at the risk of your own health. Hire people. If you are the person managing their money, you can hire an advocate. You can hire a care manager. You need to, what's the word I'm looking for again? It's not decentralized, but you want other people involved in that care. It can't be only you. And remember my analogy about the airplane. You got to save yourself before you can save them. It's heart-wrenching. It's hard to tell an aging parent, well, Mom, I have to get out. Because if I don't, I'm going to cook before you. And some of them will, that makes you feel real good, right? They don't really care. It's about me, 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 me. There are some very selfish parents out there. But and I mean it kindly, you've allowed it to happen, sis. You've allowed your parents to control you as an adult. I remember my mom did something real simple. I had to say, whoa, hold up. You're my mom, but I'm an adult. You've got to nip it in the bud, sis. You should have. And you can still do it. So don't let that be the reason that you're under somebody's thumb and you can get out. That one is not so hard. Hire people. Delegate. That's the word. Delegate. Why should you be the only child responsible? They give birth to all the others. And I don't mean to sound, uncaring. It's the truth. You're not the only one who came out of that womb. What about the others? And in one of my videos, I tell you how blessed I was that my siblings and I, we were like this. And I have another lady I know who her and her siblings are sharing the load. Yes. So sis, don't let that be the thing that holds you hostage. You got to save yourself first. The other thing that could be holding you back is the fear of the unknown. Listen, sis, we all go through that. You don't think I worry about being found here in my apartment? Actually, I really don't worry about that. I just don't want to be laid out in pain and nobody being able to help relieve my pain, not to be found. In fact, I told the ladies, I'm like, I want you to find me like 3 days later where there's nothing that can be done because I'm ready. There is nothing about this life that makes me feel like, oh, I want to hang on here until whatever. I'm 67. And from what I'm seeing going down the pike in the future, it doesn't look very good. It doesn't. So why should I just, hang on to everything because I want to be here till I'm 100? No, I don't. So the fear of things happening can be paralyzing if you allow it. And I can do that for you, sis. You have to work on your own mentation. And I tell you how to distract yourself. Get a hobby. Try to learn Spanish. Volunteer. Sing. Walk. Do things to keep yourself healthy because focusing on the fear is not going to keep things from happening. In fact, it may put you in a more vulnerable position. So the fear of the unknown, yeah, we don't know what's happening. Fear of political unrest, well, we don't know what might happen. Fear of disease, well, you don't know that could happen. You are getting older and things can happen. You have to be okay with that, sis. And I know some of you are not. I know I may be speaking in the desert, but I know a lot of sisters kind of feel the same. Like if we die here, we don't want to be dragged on a plane somewhere else to put me in a, why? What's the point? I would be gone. You could do whatever you want with me. Most of us want to be cremated. And I told my daughter, yeah, I'm okay being a fertilizer. You can put me in some plants. I'm totally okay with it. This life is not so special anymore that everybody wants to hang on, hang on, hang on. That doesn't mean we're going to do anything to hurt ourselves. We're going to do what we need to do. But don't be so enamored with this life where you just kind of forget to live and to take care of yourself and do the work that needs to happen. Fear of getting sick. Well, you could get sick. Is there anything you can do about that? Well, you can keep yourself healthy, exercise, eat well, sleep. Yeah. After you've done all these things, it can still happen to you. So what are you going to do then? Are you going to blame God, the universe, and everybody else? What does that do? And the last thing I want to say about the possibility, if you really want to get out, is maybe you want to consider a sabbatical or two. Because if you come to a country like Panama and they stamp your passport with a tourist visa for 180 days, you can stay here for 6 months, sis. You can decompress. You can learn language. You can learn the culture. And then if you have to leave again, if you don't qualify for a pensioner visa or you got things at home you need to take care of, just go somewhere else and then come back. You get another 180 days. Now, don't make it a habit now. Don't say Maggie said. But that kind of gives you a breather. That's what a sabbatical does. When you remove yourself from a situation, you're able to get perspective. You're able to be more objective and say, oh, this is what I've been living last 30 years. People move abroad and they say it takes them weeks to decompress and to I was watching something the other day where they went to Bali and I don't know what they were doing. People were screaming. I was like, oh, that's a little odd. But people go to kind of heal themselves of all the trauma and all the stuff we were living under. And once you remove yourself from the situation, you're in a better position to have clarity. Then you can reprioritize your life. So a sabbatical is not a bad idea, and don't just dismiss it. Because after you look at all the things we talk about, the debt, your finances, your aging parents, your healthcare cost, and everything else going around you, if you're like, you know what, I can't really deal with all that right now. My head is a mess. I just need to get away. Get away, sis. Get away. Get away. It may not be final, but it'll give you a chance to breathe and to kind of get yourself back in the swing of things. And then you emerge with clarity and a plan for your life because you got to save yourself, sis. So, is it time to go, sis? Did I give you any insight as to something you may not have thought about? And that's why I bring you these videos, because when you go talk to a coach, I don't call myself a coach, but if you go talk to somebody, you know, a counselor or anybody, they are more likely to give you some insight because they're not in the situation. It's a lot easier for us to be, well, have you thought of that? Have you thought of that? And hopefully that's what I did for you today. So, the video has already got 42 minutes long. Please remember to like the video, share it with somebody who you know is struggling with the decision. Should I leave? Should I stay? Is it time to go? Am I going to make it if I stay? Watch the video over and over, take notes, and then assess your own situation to see if there is any way you can make it work, sis. Because we are here, those of us who are here, living our best life. It doesn't mean we don't care about you. We do worry about you, sis. So my single older ladies, a lot of you are coming. Oh, Maggie, I'd like to have coffee. I have to talk to you. I'm happy to do that as long as I can fit it in the schedule. But don't expect someone to be hand-holding and making all the decisions for you. I don't do that. Sometimes I have people call me and they're asking this basic question, and I'm like, have you done the homework? As I ask you to do, you have to show that you engage in finding information for yourself. That's what's going to make you're going to make it. But if you're saying, oh, well, this didn't work out. Oh, well, the attorney didn't tell me that. Oh, Maggie didn't tell me that. Therefore, I'm going to go back. Well, can't help you there, sis. Can't help you. You have to be a self-starter. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this video, that I gave you some insight, some things for you to think about as you assess your own situation as to whether it's time for you to get out for all the reasons we talked about. So I'll see you in the next video. God loves you. You know I love you. Au revoir. À la prochaine. Bonne journée. Bye bye.